Hey everybody. Hey, if you're watching this, then you're probably one of the many friends of mine who has played Darkest Dungeon and has either given up on it or just kind of figured I am never going to beat this because it's too hard. Well, I'm here to tell you that Darkest Dungeon can totally be beaten. I've done it myself. It's just a matter of knowledge and a little bit of strategy. So that is kind of what I'm going to try to show you. This is going to be a video series, sort of in the same vein as Beagle Rush's Live and Impossible. I'm going to play through a game of Darkest Dungeon, and I'm going to post the whole thing to YouTube for the benefit of my friends who are struggling. And I'll show you how to do some fun and goofy things in this game. I am not going to play on New Game Plus, because that's just unnecessary. So, let's get this started. And we'll just enjoy this little intro cinematic here. Get my mouse cursor out of the way.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
Well, that was ominous. So, onward we march, as soon as the game deigns to load. The beginning of the game is not going to be terribly interesting because the beginning of the game is actually quite easy. It's usually once you jump into sort of the mid-level, the veteran tier dungeons that things start to get rough. But we'll muscle through. And I'll try to make this as interesting as possible along the way. Why is this not loading properly? There we go. Forgive my brief moment of panic there, where I alt-tabbed out of the game. Okay, so just got a couple things we need to do. Gameplay tutorials, or disabling tutorials. We don't need those. I am going to keep all the sort of Darkest Dungeon config options on. Corpses are going to be there, combat delay penalties, mortality debuffs, and so on and so forth. But anyhow, we have an intro to slog through. Just one hallway and one room.
Keep to the side path.
Yes, brigands and whatnot.
Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
As you command, narrator.
As the fiend falls,
So yeah, this is just going to be a very straightforward
blossoms.
punch 'em up. Nothing all that special. Brings left valuables in the tent, an emerald.
Waiting to be spent.
Little bit of extra cash. Okay.
Unchecked. There is much to be found in forgotten places.
My kingdom for a full party. That was good.
Send these vermin a message.
If only the Crusader could hit that guy in the back rank, but he can't.
Is no longer welcome.
I really like the Crusader. I really wish the Crusader were better. More on that probably in future episodes. Oh hey, Renault's still bleeding. Alright, come on. Actually, let's go for Grape Shot. We can pick off the Fusilier and also chunk some damage into this Bloodletter. Very nice.
Destroy them.
Nice. Very nice to get a max damage roll on that. Rain of whips. I know, Reynald, the whips are very stressful. Okay, Dismas, let's knock this out. Come on, Reynald. Yes, alright. Swift, we got a charm, some bandages, which we're not going to use. Quick note, if you're starting a new game, this chest, it is always trapped. And it's about the only chest in the game where the game is nice enough to straight up tell you, hey, it's trapped. It is the bandit's trapped chest. So unless somewhere over the course of those 2 encounters you got a key, there's no point in trying to open this. It will... You won't get any loot. Anyhow, we're done. It's time to actually go to the hamlet. Okay, neither of them picked up any new quirks, and that's fine. Reynald is enough of a problem as it is because he has kleptomaniac, and occasionally will steal loot from me.
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them.
That's very encouraging, Ancestor.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth.
So we don't have much available to us.
Oblivion.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, Ancestor. So we don't have a whole lot going on right now. We have access to the graveyard, which we hopefully won't be sending too many heroes to. The Ancestors' memories, etc. So here's the kind of the major trick that is really difficult for a lot of people to get used to in the early game, especially if you've played XCOM. You basically have to treat your heroes as an expendable resource. This is mission critical because here's the thing. Treating stress on your heroes, upgrading their skills, upgrading their equipment, treating their negative quirks and diseases, that all costs money. Hiring and firing heroes does not. So we are going to take a few... For more than a few heroes, we are going to ring them for all they're worth, and fire them when they are too stressed out and too messed up to continue.
Soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses.
As far as upgrades, our first priority is going to be getting another level of the Stagecoach network, so we have a fresh round of 4 heroes coming in, so no matter how bad of a shape we're in, we can always fire all of our messed up heroes and hire 4 new fresh ones to form a complete party. Let's see what we got. Okay. You pretty much always get one Plague Doctor and 1 Vestal. And that's kind of amazing. She has almost all of the skills that I want her to have going into this. And at this point, all that's available to us is the Stagecoach, the Graveyard, and the Ancestors statue. So there isn't a whole lot to do besides march on in to the first real level, and we're going to charge on into the ruins. All right.
Preparedness, measured now in gold, later in blood.
You're real downer there, Ancestor. It's you're harshing my buzz. Okay, so provisions. So this is a short mission, which means we don't need to bring a whole lot of food. It's really doubtful we'll end up with more than 2 hunger checks on a short mission, and we have plenty of healing, so we don't need to use food to heal. So we're going to want to bring just 1 shovel. The ruins usually doesn't have too many blockages, and again, it's a short mission. Bandages and anti-venom I'm not worried about, because damage over time effects are very weak in the early missions. I'm going to bring a couple extra holy waters, because there's a lot of curios and interactive terrain features that are really great in the ruins if you have holy water. and a couple keys, because keys are also super good in the ruins. Things like locked cabinets often contain lots and lots of treasure. And I'm just gonna take with me 7 torches. That ought to do the trick. And that's it. Oh wait, we also want 1 herbs. Herbs are basically good in the ruins because occasionally you'll run across an Iron Maiden, which will cough up a decent amount of loot if you happen to have herbs. So with that all said and done, in we go. So I can't really say this for certain, but it's been my experience that the first mission into the ruins is generally easier, even than other apprentice level dungeon runs. It just sort of seems like most encounters only have 2 or 3 enemies as opposed to 4. And I feel like your surprise and scout chance is way higher than it usually is. And here we go. So we've got our fun little map to explore. And so we march on. Hooray, a torch sconce. And something I will note is that I pretty much always like to have my light topped off. I don't really like to take chances. I don't really do dark runs. And hey, our first encounter. 2 bone rabble. Great fun.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands.
These things are, they're not hard. Yeah, swing and a miss. And the Vestal will probably pick this one off. Judged.
Is broken. Maintain the offensive. As victories mount,
Alright, unlocked strongbox. Hey, it's got some stuff in it. Treasure. Alright. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. Hey, some blockages. We use shovels on these. Never leave home without shovels. Oh, man. Okay. Dang it. Alright. So that's a pretty good example there of why your enemy's back row tends to be your priority targets. And these cultist acolytes, they are no exception, because they can deal lots and lots of stress. And as you probably know by now, physical damage does not carry over between missions, but stress does. So stress is something you want to deal with more aggressively than just straight up damage. So we're gonna make sure this cultist dies pronto. Come on, get lit. Alright, they're blighted. Oh, she can still use illumination from the front rank. That's pretty great. And that's a swing and a miss. Thump. Alright, we're gonna take a bit of damage here. He can probably one-shot. Yep, there we go. Bone rabble down. Early game, the Crusader is still quite good in the ruins, just on account of that handy-dandy amount of bonus damage they get against the undead. Just gonna clean this up. By the way, the stun between damage over time, the interaction between stun and damage over time is amazing. You're killing me, Givard. Is that her name, Givard? Okay, Ronald cleans that up. And because of the way, damage over time works, that thing is just going to die at the start of its turn. As we get further on, I'll show you examples of how you can use stuns and damage over time to determine, okay, is it safe to just sit here in this combat and heal for a round or two. But that's further down the line. Reynald, if you... great. He stole a key and some much-needed heirlooms. I'm going to want to I'm gonna want to replace Renault pretty quick, because that kleptomaniac negative quirk he's got, it's not fun. Okay, what do we got here? Yeah, we know what our priority targets are. Really wish he could roll better than mid damage, but take what you can get. Are you blit? Yep, he's blighted. Alright. Can you stun the cultist acolyte? If you can, that'd be fantastic.
Well struck.
It's a hit, and a stun. There we go, so we no longer need to worry about that thing. Ow. That was a little rough.
Be gone, fiend.
Well, turnabout is fair play, I guess. Okay. Down to our one enemy. Let's just chunk him down. Wow, that's a couple of unlucky crits we've taken. Gonna end up with a little bit more stress than we probably should by the end of this. Okay. So, we're in one of those situations I was talking about earlier where it's safe to heal. I no longer need to worry about dealing damage to this cultist brawler. Because he has 6 HP, and he's going to take 6 damage at the start of his turn from damage over time effects. So, I don't need to worry about hitting him anymore. I can just focus on patching myself up. That said... oh yeah, I can use Bulwark of Faith to just top off the torch.
The match is struck. A blazing star.
There we are. There we go. But my Highwayman doesn't really have anything to do, but cut him up.
The enemy crumbles.
Ooh, is that a dazzling charm? That is a dazzling charm. Those are handy. So here's the other thing that food can do. You can use it to heal small amounts of HP. And that's a pretty useful feature, let me tell you.
Glittering gold.
Nice.
Trinkets and
Got a ruby out of that.
Paid for in blood.
Alright, so I'm going to backtrack. Quick note on backtracking. Something I've noticed. Oh, hey, hunger check. Quick note on backtracking, from what I've noticed, is it seems that you use a lot less torchlight if you go down a hallway that you've already explored. But it also seems to me that hunger checks are way more common in hallways that you've already explored. Renaud. Oh, I hate you so much, Renaud.
Well performed.
He's getting replaced. Sooner rather than later. Alright. Yeah, there aren't really much in the way of priority targets on this one, so we're just gonna... deal with these guys as best we can. Probably take some damage along the way. Is Judgment? This is Judgment. Something that I kind of forget about is the Vestal actually does deal pretty solid damage. Chunk a bit into... Fortunately, the dead do not bleed. So this is a good time to mention sort of the general tip when it comes to when do you want to use single-target versus multi-target skills. You generally only want to use a multi-target skill if it means that you're going to pick off one of your targets. You know, generally I would just want to use Smite all the time, but if I use Zealous Accusation, I can probably kill this Bone Soldier and chunk some damage into this one while I'm at it.
The ground quakes.
Like so. And now, that puts him pretty neatly in range. Yeah, of Dismas's attack. Whatever, we'll just... There we go. And he dies at the start of his turn from damage over time effects. Oh hey, more charms. Not too concerned about his HP. Yeah, we just... we want the stress heal. Mid-dungeon stress heal. That's pretty great. My roommate is making funny faces at
The
me,
way is lit. The path is clear.
presumably in an attempt to make me screw something up. I don't know. But anyhow, there's traps. Something good to note is that different characters have different sort of trap disarm chances. You'll notice that the Vestal is pretty terrible at it. The Highwayman is actually quite good. So there are a few classes that are good at it. Highwayman, Bounty Hunter, Houndmaster, and Gravedigger or Grave Robber are the one that comes to mind. The ones that come to mind. I can't pronounce or talk. So just make sure when you're marching, whichever character you want to disarm the trap, you have them highlighted. You definitely don't want your Crusader trying to disarm traps for you, if at all possible. Hey, what do you know? Renault didn't steal all that stuff. I can use some of that extra food to heal up Dismas.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
Yeah, and he's, as you can see from his text mark there, he's ready to start murdering, and Dismas just can't get enough food. Okay, so this is a scouting mission, which means, hooray, we've done everything we need to do. But what the heck, we're in pretty good shape. Let's keep scouting. A blockage, but we have an extra shovel. Alright, and ever onward into this last room here. Oh, now we're talking. So, priority targets. Bone Courtiers. Oh man, do we want these to die. For the time being, we're just gonna... Yeah, there we go. The really important thing there is stunned. While we, do whatever we can to pick that sucker off. We have enough damage that... We have enough HP that we can take whatever damage these guys can dish out. We just don't want any more stress before we go back to town. That was disappointing. No, you tried. Alright, finish him off. Yes! Thank you, Givard. Chunk. Oof. That was a pretty hard graveyard slash. Okay, let's just finish off that bone soldier.
Give them no quarter.
You know, just play grenade them. Start getting some... He resisted that?! That's a really hardcore Arbalest. Let's see if we can stun him. No, I can't. He's in the back rank, where that skill does not reach. Let's judge him. And Reynald will dutifully chunk down this Bone Defender, turn by turn. Or maybe he'll just get stunned from a shield bash. Alright. So let's try this again, Ditton. Light the Arbalest. Really? That's incredible. I'm honestly a little speechless here, guys. This Arbalest is really hardcore. Come on, okay, there we go. But not hardcore enough. And... Nope, just gonna shield bash Dismas now. Yep, okay. So he's bashed and stunned. But this guy only has 1 HP, so this isn't gonna take long. And there we go. Crit for 1 damage. But it ends the fight. Hey, deeds! We need deeds. We need deeds to upgrade the stagecoach. And we got another heirloom chest we can use the key on. More deeds. So there we go. And that there is our first foray. So that is pretty much that. I'll hopefully be talking about some more interesting stuff and some more things of great strategic value in later videos, but for now, that's the start. Hey, let's check and see what quirks everybody picked up. Ditton picked up On Guard. Oh, man. Well, I know who my first hero that I'm keeping is. So yeah, On Guard is really good. Dispomanian Backtracker. Okay, that's not so great. But On Guard is really incredible, and once we have the Sanitarium unlocked, I'll talk a bit more about quirks, both positive and negative, that you either want to get rid of immediately or lock in ASAP. And On Guard is pretty high on that list, so Ditton is, she's going to be important. Alright, so for now, I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you guys for the next episode.